A child of the street learns the rope of life a little too early. He struggles to feed and to find his way, but he grows and ends up terrorizing a city in search of better tomorrows. He ends up losing his life to his own vices in the most tragic of ways, with nothing left of him to bury, but lives on only as a cautionary tale. The message? Thou shalt not steal. The wages of sin is death. On the 3rd of July in 2001, a luxurious bus heading for Onitsha is flagged down by a group of fierce-looking men. Determined in their strides and on a mission, they seem to be in search for someone. A young man seated in the bus jumps out of the window to make a run for it, but he is caught and taken. His fate is unknown, but he knows it won't end well for him, and indeed, it doesn't. For he is the man responsible for the robbery and death of many people in the area. This is the story of Okwudili Ndiwe, aka Derico Nwamama. I object to violence because when it appears to do good, the good is only temporary. The evil it does is permanent. Mahatma Gandhi. Anambra State, light of the nation. The state was formed in 1976, but the current day Anambra State was formed on the 27th of August in 1991. It is believed to be named after the Omambala River. Anambra State has an area mass of 4,844 square kilometers, and according to a census carried out in 2006, it has a population of approximately 4.1 million people. Onitsha, a city in Anambra, it is said to have its history traced all the way back to the Benin Empire sometime during the 17th century. It is a metropolitan city known for its commercial activity and historically as a port city. The 1990s were a trying time for the town. The commercial activities were progressing at record pace, and there were vices that hindered this growth. Vices such as crime. Governor Chinguke Mbadunuju, the first elected governor of Anambra State and also the sitting governor at the time, with his tenure running from 1999 to 2003. He had his work cut out for him, as crime was at an all-time high, and the distrust the people had for the police wasn't helping matters in the least. No one was spared from the crime wave. Traders, artisans, and residents were all victims, and it wasn't long before the people began to cry out for a solution. Things couldn't go on like this, they said. The corruption and some inadequacies in the police force made it difficult to apprehend the criminals terrorizing the city, as well as the alleged spiritual component involved, and the people were reaching their breaking point. The Obi of Onitsha at the time, His Royal Highness Obi Ofala Okabue, assembled the youth of Onitsha in an attempt to find a lasting solution to the rising crime. They were even willing to offer some kind of settlement for peace, and in attendance were some of the city's most notorious armed robbers. Chiejina, one of the most violent criminals in Nigeria's history. He was notorious for his inhumane acts such as forced incest, that is, forcing a father to have sexual relations with his daughter at gunpoint, and also the alleged murder of a 4-month-old baby that was flung from a 3-story building due to the parents' inability to comply with his demands. He could be described as a man that was ruthless, debased, and morally perverted. And during the meeting, he refused to back down and was said to have gotten violent, vowing to continue his rampage. He was a man truly arrogant in his ways. Okwudili Ndiwe, aka Dericko, was a child of the streets that hailed from Anambra, Vigilante area. Growing up was hard, and eventually he found a way to make a living, but it was at the expense of others. He started out as a pickpocket and soon grew into a hardened criminal, notorious for robbing bosses and barely leaving any surviving witnesses behind. He had a habit of operating in Onitsha, terrorizing the people, while he resided in Abuja, the nation's capital. Dericko was present at the meeting as well. Following Chiejina's refusal to comply with the demands of the people of Onitsha, the people decided to fight fire with fire and turned to Dericko for assistance, but little progress was made. However, shortly after, the people, the police, and with some assistance from Dericko, were alleged to have raided Chiejina's hideout. He wasn't present, but his gang was, and the police arrested every single one of them. Chiejina was said to be outraged and felt betrayed or toppled, and went after Dericko. The rivalry that ensued was a mess, and it was alleged that Chiejina, in a fit of rage, went to look for Dericko, but ended up finding his father, and he gunned him down. The end was set. Blood had been spilled, and it had become a battle to the death. And the more callous man would emerge victorious, and Dericko became the undisputed champion at the end of it all. It was said that the police and the people rejoiced at the news of Chiejina's death, and Dericko was celebrated and applauded for claiming the life of a tyrant. But they forgot. Nothing good ever comes of violence, and time will prove this to be true. The end of Chiejina became the start of Dericko, and the community felt the difference. Where in comparison, Dericko lacked in perverseness, he made up for in numbers. In almost every attack, lives were lost. The exact number of his victims are unknown, but it is believed to be as many as 100 civilians and 25 policemen, with his worst crime being the hit that happened in December of 2001. Dericko and his gang is alleged to have attacked a 59-seater luxurious bus. It was fully packed and the bus was headed for Lagos State. After the robbery, he and his gang killed everyone on board except 4 people who were lucky to have barely survived. His rampage didn't go unnoticed by the transitional president, President Olusegun Obasanjo. Governor Chinguke was under a lot of pressure from him to bring an end to Dericko's reign of terror and security stability to his state. The governor was left with no choice but to take matters into his hands and look for a solution to resolve the rapid rise in crime, to find a solution that would bring peace back to the land and also remain within the confines of the law. Well, kind of. This led to the invitation of the AVS, aka the Abia Vigilante Services, aka the Bakassi Boys. The creation of the Bakassi Boys can be traced back to Aba in 1998, another industrial city in the southeastern part of Nigeria. The town was gripped and crippled by a rapid rise in crime at the time, and just like the people of Onitsha, they were tired of the intimidation, insecurity, and lawlessness. Basically, they were tired of being tired. It is alleged that in October of 1999, some armed robbers killed a pregnant woman during one of their operations. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. The people had had it. The market traders mobilized people to hunt down the culprits responsible, and after 3 long days of violence and tussle between the traders and the alleged criminals, a conclusion was finally reached, and the traders emerged victorious. This planted an idea. The Market Traders Association decided to organize a vigilante group that would defend them from the tyranny of criminal activities in the area. Those led to the birth of the Bakassi boys. Dericko had become a thorn, one that needed to be removed one way or another. The traders weren't having him, and neither were the politicians. The Anambra division of the Nigerian police set up Operation Dericko, but were unsuccessful in their attempts. Then came the Bakassi boys, armed with weapons and fortified with charms. They began to hunt, to look, to search for Dericko. On the 3rd of July of 2001, Dericko was commuting from Agbo to Onitsha. Somewhere along the way, the Bakassi boys stopped the bus on the Onitsha axis of the bridgehead. Dericko was reported to have jumped from the window in an attempt to escape, but it was futile and he was captured. The news of Dericko's capture spread like wildfire, and the community jubilated. On the 9th of July of 2001, 6 days after Dericko was captured, amidst the chants of war songs and heroic displays, the legendary Dericko was brought forth. His body had cuts and wounds, old and fresh. He was in pain, and it was obvious. A microphone was handed over to him, as opposed to say his final words if he had any, but he began to plead for his life.
My name is Okwudili, aka Dericko, aka Nwamama. I appeal to you, the people of Anambra State, please, don't kill me. I am not evil. It was when I killed Chiejina that people thought I am a strong guy, you know. I trust the Bakassi boys. They are strong. Please, mercy for me. Nobody can identify me as having robbed him. People just believe that I'm a strong guy.
He said a handful of words, but none was helpful in securing his life. In a flash, one of the Bakassi boys swung a sharp cutlass, severing Dericko's head from his body. The sight can only be described as grotesque. The severed head rolled and the crowd watched as his body convulsed before collapsing to the ground. I suppose his dramatic execution was a message. Armed robbery will not be tolerated. But it truly is a terrible way to die. The crowd jubilated, and his remains were further chopped up before being set ablaze. Dericko was 22 years old at the time of his death, and he died so miserably, and even in death, wasn't laid to rest in accordance to any religious or cultural law. Dericko's case brought to light some underlying issues. First of all, the brutality of the Bakassi boys cannot be ignored. Playing judge, jury, and executioner is hardly ever right. It will never be sustainable. Monsters are created by circumstances, hardly are they ever born. And if Dericko was one and was killed so horribly, who are the Bakassi boys? What do they stand for? Will their allegiance to society change? And should they become monsters, who will save us, the people, from their terror? Another issue is the distrust the people have for the police. In an editorial released by Daily Champion on the 8th of July of 2001, the power tussle between the Bakassi boys and the police had been quite turbulent following the capture of Dericko. The police had demanded that he be released to them for further interrogation and to be given a trial in accordance to the law. They were denied this request, and this didn't help their relationship in the least. Eventually, the Bakassi boys were declared wanted by the police, making it a huge mess. The function of the police should be to serve and to protect, to make communities safer. And the end goals of the vigilante should be the same, to make their communities safer. Taking laws into their hands and outrightly taking the life of another human being should not be condoned. Share your thoughts and comments with us in the comment section below. We pray for all those who were victims of Dericko's actions and those whose lives were affected in one way or another because of him. We pray for their families. Thanks for watching. For more contents like this, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Remember, stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you.